You should never mess with the Hells Angels because they are really good with punishments. Welcome to this video on the dark side of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Today we're going to explore 3 incidents involving Hells Angels members, ranging from fatal assaults to gruesome murders, and how brutal this gang gets while giving punishments and committing crimes. So let's get started. Our first story is about the death of Dain Phillips, a family man who found himself in the middle of a dispute between his son and some old high school classmates of his. Cody had posted a rude comment on Facebook about an acquaintance of his dad, Daniel McRae. McRae was upset about the comment and confronted Cody, but was unsatisfied with the outcome of the discussion. The following night, Dain Phillips met up with the men who were upset with his son in hopes of resolving the issue peacefully. But what he didn't know was that McRae had recruited help from some friends with ties to motorcycle gang. Instead of putting the disagreement to rest, the group beat Phillips with hammers and baseball bats, leaving him on the roadside in a pool of blood. He died later that night at the hospital. 7 people were charged with manslaughter, and at least 2 of them were full-patch members of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. Another one of the attackers was the president of another gang called the Throttle Lockers, which acts as a support group for the Hells Angels. Phillips was a family man with no criminal record who had unknowingly gotten involved with the wrong people in his efforts to act as a peacemaker. This tragic incident highlights the dangers of getting caught up in conflicts that involve violent individuals and criminal organizations. In our next story, we take you to Massachusetts, where 3 people were kidnapped, stabbed, and shot by a group of Hells Angels members, including Adam Lee Hall, who was found guilty of first-degree murder. In August 2011, 3 men were seen leaving a Hells Angels party in Pittsfield, Massachusetts together. The trio, which included Hells Angels member Adam Lee Hall, kidnapped, stabbed, and shot 3 people before dismembering and burying their bodies. The victims were David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. Glasser was killed because he was planning to testify against Hall in an assault case, and the other 2 victims were murdered to eliminate witnesses. After committing the crime, the group went to the local Hells Angels clubhouse, where they bragged about the brutal killings. The victims were reported missing a few days later, and soon enough, police dug up their remains. All signs pointed towards Hall as the guilty party, and witnesses identified his accomplices. The investigation led authorities to one of the suspects' homes, where they found hatchets, knives, a machete, and other tools that they believe were used for hacking the victims' bodies into pieces. Hall and his accomplices, David Shalhoub and self-proclaimed Satanist and vampire Caius Veiovis, were found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. They are all serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. Our final story is about a biker brawl that erupted outside the Hells Angels clubhouse in New York City. In 2016, a dispute over a traffic cone outside the Hells Angels clubhouse in New York City's East Village turned violent. When 25-year-old David Martinez moved the cone to make room for a car his friend was driving, club member Anthony Lovinetti confronted him, and the disagreement turned into a physical fight. Lovinetti shot Martinez in the stomach, lodging the bullet into the victim's spine. Martinez survived the attack and identified Lovinetti as the shooter in surveillance footage of the incident. Police charged Lovinetti with first-degree assault and possession, and his defense lawyer claimed that Martinez was the aggressor in the argument that led to the shooting. The judge held Lovinetti on $25,000 bail, which he posted shortly after his arraignment. However, the case was dropped after the 52-year-old suspect died of an aneurysm. Despite the tragedy of this incident, it is important to note that Martinez forgave Lovinetti for shooting him. In a surprising turn of events, Martinez publicly expressed his forgiveness towards Lovinetti during a press conference. These tales expose the sinister and savage aspects of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. Despite their claim to be a fraternity of motorcycle aficionados, these incidents reveal a different picture altogether. It's worth noting that not all Hells Angels are involved in vicious pursuits, yet the reputation for brutality precedes them. To sum it up, the stories recounted today showcase the extreme ferocity that some members of the Hells Angels are capable of. These accounts serve as a chilling reminder that even innocuous actions, such as relocating a traffic cone, can spiral into fatal altercations with the wrong individuals. It is crucial to exercise caution and stay alert in all circumstances, particularly when dealing with individuals associated with outlaw biker gangs like the Hells Angels.